the richest person in North Carolina.
Mm. Well, I'm supposed. All right, wait a minute. I'm supposed to hate him because he's a rich person because that's what we liberals do. Is we hate rich people,
Well, no,
successful
it's just
people, right?
Don Curtis is number 2, as you know.
Well, he is number 2, but I don't think he's on that list. Well, oh, that's funny. I'm sharing right now.
I'm looking. We're definitely going to watch in the next day or two the Mank. Have you watched Mank yet?
I think I checked it out, but I don't think I ever really dove into it.
Oh, was it in black and white? So you're bored? Your generation won't watch a black and white movie? Is that it?
Well, a friend of mine got a free Apple TV Plus subscription because he switched to AT&T. So I've been binging on some of the things on there, including that Ted Lasso show. The thing with Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston's pretty good.
What, the news?
Yeah, it's not a comedy, by the way.
Yeah, no, I saw it. No,
have you seen it?
We watched it.
Yeah,
oh yeah, it's been about probably 7 or 8 months since we saw it, and I know they're doing another year.
I don't know.
But he's dead. He's dead, right? He's dead.
Who's dead?
Oh, I think I ruined it for you there, Carell.
No, Carell doesn't die, not at the end of the one. I saw the whole thing, and he's not. They got in a fight, but he didn't die. I don't see how you have a season 2, but I guess they'll figure it out. I thought it was.
By the way, I was looking up the late night ratings. It's actually worse than I thought for Fallon, because I forgot this in January. One of the weeks in January, he hit the all-time low for a late night show, and they only go back to like 1982.
Oh, wow.
In terms of, so it goes back to into the Carson era.
He deserves to be in third place. He deserves to be behind Kimmel. I'll just say that.
Probably that night he was in 5th place.
Good for him.
Oh, all right. I got to tell you something you have to watch on it's a hate watch.
Oh, good. I love hate watching things. That's my hobby.
Yeah. There it is.
Have you seen the Ted Lasso show?
No.
It's pretty good. And it's only like 28 minutes a piece, so you can zip right through them.
I hear it's too nice.
Yeah, that's the problem with it.
It's too nice.
I wish it was a little more asshole-ish.
Remember, my goal right now is to not get us caught up in anything that's multi.
Now that you've gotten out of the quagmire that is Nashville.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep us out of multi-episode commitments here.
I get you.
Okay.
I'm ready.
No, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
It is the Brad and Britt cast midweek edition, whatever that means. Don't know what that means. People just say it.
It's hump day.
We do a lot of things because we've either done them before or we just say them over and over again. All right, I have a must see for 3 minutes hate watch suggestion for you if you haven't seen it.
I love hate watching.
Brand new this week at 11 o'clock Eastern time at night on Fox. Greg Gutfeld's Comedy Hour. You have got to see it. It is the worst. No,
really?
Okay. They've tried before over the 20 years or whatever to do something funny on that channel, and it always bombs. And I watched the first episode for about 6 minutes on Monday, and that was all I could take. But it's never going to get any better because, first of all, he's dreadful. He's just dreadful. He is that guy at your radio station who really thought he was the funniest guy, but they always have him doing the all-night show for a reason, and they never promote him because he basically sucks. But the first 5 minutes of his show was trying to make fun of everything else that was on at the same time. Brian Williams. So the bit is, the fake video and the voiceover. This is Brian Williams on the moon. I invented the rocket that got us to the moon. And three things that are exaggerations of, okay. On and on and on. It went like that. Just painful. And then a panel with the same people that are on Fox all the time. Just dreadfully painful, bending over backwards, and of course using all the right wing shit that's going on Fox all day long, and trying to repackage it into comedy. And please give it 3 minutes. I dare you. I dare you.
If you're watching us live, I'm showing the review from the Daily Beast. The headline is "Actual Comedians Roast Greg Gutfeld's New Fox News Comedy Show." It's like watching a guy going through a divorce doing an impression of Bill Maher.
I haven't seen any of the reviews. I'm just going off of what I saw.
Well, what was the show they used to have on in the middle of the night on Fox News, and it used to get higher ratings than some of the stuff on MSNBC and the other channels, and then some of the conservative guys would be like, "Oh God, this is so funny and it's so good." It was on like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they would do a halftime show, and all the conservatives were like, "Oh my God, it's so funny and it's so fresh," and it was just shit.
Right, so, and it was, this should be on in the middle of the day. It's so good.
Should. Right? They kept saying that, and all these it made him a star. I'm putting that in quotations. And then there was that Andy guy that was on the show, and it supposedly made him a star. And it was got
Andy
it.
Levy.
Is that him? Is that what it was? I mean, I find him to be somewhat palatable in small doses, but Jesus, they acted like they reinvented comedy with this thing.
The bottom line is, comedy has an extreme liberal bias, and it has since the days when a famous stand-up comedian Jesus Christ played the Comedy Store in Jerusalem a long time ago. That's all I got to say. Okay, enough of that.
Jesus was a big lefty. I mean, that's all there is to it. There's no. I can't even think. Try to think of a conservative comedian that's funny. You can't do it. Like even Tim Allen, as he's had success with whatever this stupid show is.
Even when he was stand up as a conservative, right?
No, not at all. He did stand up as a coked out guy, as a coked out stand up comedian. That's why he was funny, because he was like all the other guys that were coked out during the 80s. I mean, Jesus.
Right. Speaking of Jesus, I posed a question on a thread I started a few hours ago. I didn't even look at the response. I said, would Jesus take the coronavirus vaccine? What would Jesus do? Because I found two lanes on evangelicals who are vaccine resistant versus a lot who are saying, absolutely, get me on board. And of all people, Franklin Graham, absolutely on board with taking the vaccine, and they've set up clinics. This is part of the good angel Franklin Graham, where he actually does the right thing. Yeah. But he may not be in the mainstream of thought among a lot of evangelical Christians, because they think it's a plot. They don't trust it. The same reasons, the crazy reasons that you hear. And so I'm thinking if Jesus was here, and I don't know Jesus, I'm not familiar with Jesus. Don't know. Not on my friends list. Okay, he's okay, but he's not on my friends list.
A gifted teacher, I think.
Right. But I'm guessing he would have taken it.
I don't see why not. I don't see why not. For a lot of conservatives, this feels like one of those deals like where you would ask your dad to go by McDonald's and he would bitch about it for a while, but eventually when he got by McDonald's, he'd steer in and he'd get you a burger. You know, he'd bitch about it a lot and act like he wasn't going to go. To me, that's what this sounds like among conservatives.
Well, somebody said, you know, this could be a number of people that's large enough to prevent the magic number, whatever that is, of herd immunity ever being reached the way we really want it to, so that we can just all throw off our masks and never have to worry about it. And we get a booster shot once a year, the same way we get a flu shot, and off we go, and we wait for the next pandemic. Hopefully it's not here for another 100 years. And I was trying to figure out, how do you get around that if there are people who just will never give in? They're just not going to get it for any reason. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Over time, with the virus still spreading in certain places, and apparently we've got some major hot spots right now, particularly in the upper Midwest, Northeast,
Michigan.
Right now. Right, Michigan. That over time, while the rest of us are immune and we're vaccinated and we don't get it, and even if we do get a hint of it, it doesn't kill us. Usually doesn't even land us in the hospital anymore. These other people, they're going to keep giving it to themselves. So over time, you change the the numerator. Okay, the number of people who are alive who are vaccinated, that will go up in proportion to the number of people who are alive in total, and we win. But it's going to take decades for these people to kill themselves off. Okay, they kind of like, they're isolating themselves, and they will probably, I guess, if you wait long enough, you'll catch it. If you don't get vaccinated and you think you can live in impunity and be a free rider and get away with it forever, no, I hope you all die. I hope every damn one of you catches it and dies, unless you had a real medical reason or there was a legitimate reason why you didn't get it when it came out. And when the history of this is written, and it's being written right now, the thought that a vaccine was developed and put out there for the world in a year is a miracle. That's the fucking miracle, religious people.
It was 11 months.
That's the goddamn miracle. So
it was by a couple of immigrants people who immigrated from Turkey to Germany, and they created this. I mean, it's an amazing story. If people will go over their own shit, it's an amazing story. It was 11 months. It was 11 months before the thing hit the marketplace, and now it's amazingly effective. Everything, they don't even, at the beginning of it, the people who were such naysayers and such idiots and such people who put their head in the sand, they would put out the random thing where, a guy, he got the shot in Portland and he started breaking out in hives. They would put out stories like that at first, but now you don't even see that shit anymore because they've got nothing. They've got no armament against this at all. And they don't even bitch about the AstraZeneca thing that much.
Well, apparently the AstraZeneca thing is actually worse.
Yeah,
because there are all kinds of new things coming out today. So, but amazing how that's not used in the United States. Something happened that blocked that from ever getting even preliminary approval. So
this was the story that you put on your Facebook page about, it was the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, America's largest evangelical denomination, posted a photo on Facebook last week of him getting the COVID-19 vaccine. It drew more than 1,100 comments, many of them voicing admiration for the Reverend J.D. Greer and many others assailing him. There you go. So you don't...
Right, but the rest of the article, it's kind of a deceptive part of the article, because the rest of the article is about the people who weren't so happy that the head got it. So,
well, that's the media for you.
Well, that's what I do. I'm always trying to throw people off with fake news. But anyway, can we go to what apparently is kind of breaking as we're doing this Brad and Britt cast live in the 1:30 hour on Wednesday? They've come out with the quote official reason for Tiger Woods's car accident. And I just want you to listen to the reason that they're saying. The reason that he was in the car accident was because he was going 80 in a 45. All right.
Right.
And then it stops there. Okay. That is not the reason that Tiger Woods was in an accident. There is a reason that you are going 80 and then you go flying off into a ditch. It isn't the 80 itself.
What's your theory?
No, Britt, we're back to he was either asleep, he was getting a blowjob,
he was drunk,
he was on his phone,
yeah,
he was doing something that caused him to go 80. Because remember who this is. This is Tiger Woods, who for his entire life, going back to age 3, and there's the video of him on the Mike Douglas show, hitting a putt with Bob Hope at age 3. Okay, right. Who is so careful in the way he uses his musculature and his hands to hit a golf ball exactly hard enough or soft enough to guide it where he wants to. So to think that he doesn't know how to drive, and the car just went 80 when it was supposed to go 45 and he just didn't realize it, that's not the cause. The reason that you lose a basketball game isn't because the score was 85 to 60. That isn't why you lost the game. You lost the game because you did something to cause the other team to be able to outscore you.
You didn't play defense very well, or you shot like crap, or something of that nature.
Right. This is complete cover-up. This is total 100% cover-up. Unless there are more details in the writing on this that I haven't seen yet.
That's the headline from the NBC News website. Tiger Woods drove nearly twice the speed limit and crashed, but not impaired, according to LA officials. The all-time golfing great was seriously injured in a solo car crash February the 23rd south of LA. So they're saying, yes, he drove really, really, really fast, but apparently he was not pilled up or anything like that.
That's not okay. So when you start to eliminate reasons, then you start to say, okay, then what was the reason? Because if he had been on drugs, then we would say Tiger Woods was on serious medication, or he was drunk and drove 80 in a 45. This is an incomplete story. This is bullshit. This is cover up.
Isn't it weird that they're trying to go to every length possible to make sure that the one black guy who's not supposed to be on trial, but really is on trial in Minneapolis, they're trying to inventory every drug that was in his system, but they want to make sure that, this black guy didn't have any drugs in his system at all. I think it's a very interesting juxtaposition between those two things. They want to make sure that you know that. But they want to make sure that you know that George Floyd had fentanyl and this, and it was Percocet, and it was blah, 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 and speedballs and all this other shit. But it could not have been, there couldn't have been the knee on his neck that killed him. It couldn't have been that. It had to be all this other stuff that was going on.
Britt, you're a little bit behind the times here, because what you think you saw, you did not see.
Right.
Because remember, the new story, the new defense is that Chauvin's knee was not on his neck. It was, quote, between his shoulders. So what you saw in the picture and in the video, it was just between his shoulders. And by the way, if out of the 9 minutes, 29 seconds, his knee wasn't on his neck the entire time, they're going to use that, or they're trying to use that to cast doubt on whether the main cause of his death was asphyxiation because of the knee on his neck 98% of that 9.5 minutes.
They're trying that
hard. And they're also going right back to what we talked about last week, the famous Black Superman theory, which is that Officer Chauvin had to do what he did because even though George Floyd was out cold, had been begging for his life, begging for his mother, saying he couldn't breathe, that might have been a ruse, okay? He might have been playing possum. And even though he was not moving and people were screaming and the other officers around him were questioning what was going on, Officer Chauvin was protecting the people around him. He was protecting society, because when a big, strong Negro like George Floyd
with superhuman
is
powers.
out cold. He could rise up. He could rise up and strike. And Officer Chauvin was engaged in, that's right, sit down, 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, self-defense. He was defending himself. And I like the way the one attempt to make it about the people surrounding.
Scene.
They distracted Officer Chauvin from doing his job, and of course that's been disabused 50 times. And again, so every one of these excuses, defenses, are just silly on their face. However, remember what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get 12 people to agree that it's all bullshit and that Chauvin is guilty. So all you need is one goober. You just need one goober to doubt a little bit and buy into any of these kinds of theories, and Officer Chauvin could walk. I don't think that's going to happen, but it certainly could. And so therefore, if you have your life savings and you're thinking, I want to bet on something, black or red at the roulette table, I would not use this as the thing, because with a jury anything can happen. But so far it doesn't look good for Officer Chauvin. But they haven't put up the defense witnesses yet.
I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard to empathize with the idea that the defense team has to put on a vigorous defense of their client. I understand that that's how the system works. I get it. But when you go into, he called his girlfriend mama too. So he may not have been calling out for his mama when he was actually dying. That was one of the things they tried to establish. And then they go into the addiction with him and the girlfriend and everything like that. And I'm like, just fuck you guys. Honestly, 9 minutes, 29 seconds. That's it. That's all you have to say. That is the prosecution. And we rest our case. 9 minutes, 29 seconds. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the bar.
I haven't watched every second of this.
Right.
Sorry to say. But what you just said, what fills in the gap of truthfulness between whatever level of substance abuse problems George Floyd had and the fact that there's a video of him in that convenience store, Cub Foods, right before this all happened. And he's standing there, he's talking, he's fine. There's no evidence of anything being wrong with him. And then what happened. So it just makes no sense to me that his prior drug use is of any material value in determining whether 9 minutes and 29 seconds of direct pressure, almost exclusively on a man's neck when he is face down on the pavement, is affected by his past drug use. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And I know they're throwing up smoke screens. I know that's what you referred to. Yes, he's entitled to a vigorous defense, but it's not going to be pretty in America. That's all I can say. It's not going to be pretty in America if this guy walks. That's all I can say.
Plus, people have been watching,
but honest to God, it shouldn't happen.
People have been watching this trial, and they've seen that it's Floyd that's on trial, and he's not supposed to be. He's the victim in this. I don't know if people remember. He's the one that actually died, but he's being put on trial, and it's disgusting. Right. And I know this again in my naivete. This has probably happened about 50 times, but it's in full view of everybody right now.
Well, this is all they can do, and everyone is sort of aware that that's happened in the past, and I'm sure the jurors are aware that previous trials over murder and rape and all other kinds of things very often involve trying to turn the tables and make the victim the perpetrator for whatever reason. Look at the way she used to dress in high school. No wonder that happened to her. That kind of stuff.
How much did she have to drink? What was her history with drinking? Had she ever had sex before? Had she had sex 2 weeks before? Had she had sex 3 hours before? All of that shit. Yes, it's exactly right.
So, and we do get convictions even when that kind of stuff is thrown up there. It doesn't automatically work. It's not a winner every time. It's not. And I don't think it's going to be in this case either. But again, don't bet whatever farm you may have in your family history there. Don't bet it. You'll lose it.
You mean the family farm that's going to be taken away from you by the onerous death tax? That's the one that you mean, right? Is that the one you're talking about? You want to take a trip into Matt Gaetz land because Trump has finally weighed in on this whole situation now.
Yeah, Trump go ahead, because as we just try to do this in some kind of idea that makes sense in time, because we're a podcast. It was on Tuesday night that the story was reported that Matt Gaetz was just begging Trump for, and this was taking it kind of to a new level. This was taking it beyond Roger Stone or Paul Manafort or any of the other people that ended up getting pardons from Trump. Matt Gaetz wanted what would be, in effect, a pardon for everything. But an everything bagel is good because it has all kinds of, but a pardon for everything that I did do, am doing now, or am thinking about doing in the future, coming from Donald Trump. Very, very important to have. Get it done.
He just wanted to get out of jail free card is essentially what Matt Gaetz was seeking. Yeah. We have the stories now for those of you that are watching live. The New York Times, Matt Gaetz said to have sought pardon from Trump. And then the Politico update, Trump claims that Gaetz never asked for a pardon. And then Maggie Haberman of the New York Times reporting Trump had to be talked out of defending Matt Gaetz. Those are your updates right now.
Well, I like the thing that Trump said. I think he put out like a 2-sentence pronouncement, and it was Gaetz never asked me for a pardon, and by the way, I believe him. Okay, so again, it's total Trump lying. We know that there's not one thing that he told truthfully from the time he was 4 until now. So he's lying about that. And who do I believe, Donald Trump or Maggie Haberman? Let me think about that. Let me get back to you on that. I'll get back to you. Maggie Haberman of the New York Times, who knows Trump better than he knows himself. And
Congressman Matt Gaetz has never asked me for a pardon. It must also be remembered he has totally denied the accusations against him. That was the statement from Donald Trump. Not on Twitter.
By the way, you can parse everything that Trump does because a mob boss knows how to speak. And a mob boss, as I analyze that, would say, yes, Matt Gaetz never asked me for a pardon. Matt Gaetz probably had someone else ask for a pardon for Matt Gaetz. So that way, Donald Trump can truthfully say, Matt Gaetz never asked me for a pardon. And of course, Donald Trump would have absolute knowledge on what Matt Gaetz may be accused of here formally. Very, very. He would absolutely know that. So he's in a position to announce that kind of certainty about whether Gaetz was involved in this kind of stuff or not. Wow.
This is what Mike Schmidt and Maggie Haberman are writing. Around that time, Mr. Gaetz was also publicly calling for broad pardons from Mr. Trump to thwart what he termed the bloodlust of their political opponents. But Justice Department investigators had begun questioning Mr. Gaetz' associates about his conduct, including whether he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old that violated sex trafficking laws in an inquiry that grew out of the case of an indicted associate in Florida. Matt Gaetz is scared as hell right now, and he totally should be because he knows he did what they're accusing him of doing, right? There's no question about it.
There is no doubt about it.
And he used Cash App and he used Apple Pay to do it. So there's a trail, you dumbass. Again, if you're going to involve yourself in sex trafficking, make sure that you use Easy Pay, some sort of Cash App or Venmo or PayPal so that there's an absolute record of these transactions for when you pay for sex trafficking. That really is what you should do as a sex trafficker. If I could get you into the business, that's what you should absolutely do every single time.
Here's the point of how stupid you are to do this. Most of us who use these kinds of services, most of us use these. I use Venmo, and I like the fact that there's a record of it. I like the fact that I can go back into the history, and if I'm questioning something, that's a good thing. However, if I'm doing criminal activity,
you don't want to be reminded.
I don't want to be able to go back. I don't want anybody to be able to go back and find it if they're writing about me, and it's going to be on the front of the of the New York Times. So
See, and again, not that I'm involved in these nefarious things, but I believe this is why God created cryptocurrency, right? It's harder
Absolutely.
to track. I mean, I believe
Absolutely.
that's how you do it. I'm sorry, but I believe
No doubt about that.
you got
No
you
question about that.
got your Bitcoin, you got your Dogecoin, you got several different options to choose from. That's how you make your transactions. They're not trackable and all that stuff.
And by the way, Britt, you don't even have to get that sophisticated. You can use something called cash.
Cash is like a big deal.
Not the Cash app on your phone, but just
like paper money, like printed on paper, dead trees.
And you know how I know this? Because I saw this show a few years ago called Breaking Bad.
Oh,
and
wow.
They would have all this cash, and they would use it a lot. That's how I learned that cash was a good way to be
almost like trash bags full of cash sometimes, huh?
Hey, did you see the Wayne LaPierre story?
I haven't seen the Wayne. I got to Google this real quick.
This is great. This is fantastic.
This guy can't suffer enough misery from me. Oh, this is funny.
You know, they're declaring bankruptcy. They're declaring bankruptcy and moving to Texas to get out from underneath all the shit that they've done in the state of New York. And during the bankruptcy hearings and the revelations that are coming out, turns out that Wayne LaPierre is such a chicken shit that after the Sandy Hook shootings, he went and hid. And he went and hid on a boat on somebody's gigantic yacht.
A yacht,
okay?
Is what it was.
To get away. This was after Newtown and Parkland. He fled to a friend's 108-foot yacht, and the name of the yacht was Illusions. It's got 3 or 4 on the staff. It's got a cook, got a couple of wave runners, a jet boat, and because Wayne LaPierre was under threat, he wanted to be safe, assumedly from people with guns. Okay, that's the point. Lots of people with guns probably wanted to go after Wayne LaPierre for some crazy reason, and I can't imagine why.
Here's the story as it is on NBC News. NRA's Wayne LaPierre sought refuge from mass shootings on a friend's luxury yacht. The subheadline: the admission was mocked by gun control activists, including one who said, "The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good friend with a yacht."
That's a good one. Oh, that's a good one, sir. That's a good one.
Honestly, again, when we talked about the Schadenfreude the other day with Matt Gaetz, and I'm getting a great deal of it. I'm getting a great deal of joy out of it. There's not enough bad stuff that can happen to Wayne LaPierre, in my opinion. There's not enough shame and public disgrace that can be rained down on this guy for being such a piece of crap. And I'm glad that this is coming out because he's a worm. He's subhuman, this guy. You know, this is awful stuff.
Right. And I want you to match what we know now in this story with the way the NRA plays it after mass shootings. And in the case of the big theater shooting, was that in Aurora, Colorado? Remember that?
That was the one. That was 2012.
I think they were showing Batman or something like that. And some guy comes in dressed. Was it I can't remember how the guy was dressed, but
he was dressed up, and I think he just had the combat clothing and stuff like that on.
Combat, and he shot up this movie theater. And if I recall correctly, within a couple days, when the NRA, after they let it sit for a few days because they never want to be seen as taking advantage of a situation like this, when they finally spoke, and a lot of people who are gun nuts came out and said, you know, if some of those people in that theater were armed, they wouldn't have had to have hidden under the seats like so many of them did when the guy started shooting. Right. They wouldn't have had to have been chicken shit. Okay. And of course it was the dumbest, most idiotic argument ever. Okay. That you could have some kind of rational a shootout in a dark theater with a guy who's spraying it never made any sense. But match that up with when a true tragedy occurs in this country, the number one profiteer of high-powered weaponry of the last 30 years, Wayne LaPierre, when it really got down to it, what did he do? He hid under the seats, figuratively, by running to a... But why didn't he just stand in there and speak? He wasn't being shot at. but he wouldn't even say anything after those incidents, apparently, if I recall.
He's got a gun. I mean, he's such a proponent of guns. Wouldn't he been okay at his house as a lawfully abiding gun owner? I mean,
I think so.
Seems to me he would have been. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Right. But can you imagine having the chutzpah to call up somebody? Go, Dick. Hey, it's Wayne. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks. No, yeah, I'll see you Saturday at the thing. Listen, did you hear about this shooting down in Parkland? I'm kind of scared right now. I was wondering. No, I don't want to come over to your house. That big ass boat that you got, could I hang out there for like a day or two? Because I'm a little scared right now that I'm going to get shot. I mean, how would you ever even do that? How would you, the shame gene that will be absent from you to ask somebody if you can hang out on their boat for a couple of days because you're afraid your ass is going to be shot up. How could you do that? That's pathetic.
Right.
Get out of my face.
All right.
Stuff.
We have news from the wonderful world of fundraising. You want to play high-low here with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on how much money was sent to her, how much money she raised during the first quarter. That'd be January through March. Take a whack at it.
I saw. I just saw it, so I kind of ruined it. But it's 3.2 million. Is that what the number is?
Yes, because you just saw it.
I did. I'm sorry. I was trying.
Well, then don't act like you're guessing if you see it.
3.2 million. Is that the number? Because that just comes to mind. I just saw that it was a record number.
By the way, can I go out of school? It's perfectly okay for you not to immediately type in her name when I say it, so that we can have some kind of a genuine discourse over something. Yes. That would be okay. All right. Okay. Back to the story.
For future
it's okay.
reference.
It's all right. It's okay. Yeah.
I'd seen that it was a record. There it is.
100,000 donors, $32 each on average. So there you go.
God, that's disgusting. But see, this is what makes me think that the Republicans are going to do pretty well in the midterms. I mean, it's impossible to tell, obviously, a year and a half ahead of time.
Well, it's not a good sign. That's for sure.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, come on. She's being empowered by these people. They love the chili that she's serving, obviously.
Yeah.
And she's been dreadful. And the thing is, I think she can be worse. So she could actually rake in way more money. And as the economy continues to be better, maybe she's got that little thing that Trump had with the box you can't uncheck, and maybe those people are going to be giving like way more money than they wanted to, well into July or August.
Well, Britt, a good idea spreads quickly. Just for reference here, in the first quarter of her first term in office 2 years ago, AOC raised $728,000, or less than a fourth of the amount.
And that was considered a good quarter too. That was considered like a monster quarter.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
It absolutely was. So this is not good. However, I wouldn't impart that to every Republican, and this is pretending an automatic sweep in 2022, because the very worst of them raised a lot of money, because she is shit, so she draws a lot of flies, right?
I agree.
So you have to take it at that. I mean, if for instance, let's pick a local Republican, Ted Budd. Do you think that Ted Budd is raking in the cash? No.
Well, okay.
He's the congressman from one of the congressmen from our area.
And he's a perfectly fine asshole, but he needs to step up his game, obviously, because there's a new kid in town. There's a new kid in town, and she's doing some great stuff.
Right.
Oh, here's a great one. This is a great story from Sacramento Bee from a week ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene rips vaccine passports as Biden's mark of the beast. That's part of how she rakes in that money. She says bullshit like that, and the kids, and they love it. That's when they like, hey, let me get my pocketbook out.
What part of that is wrong?
Everything is the mark of the beast, right? Everything in the world, like Obamacare was the mark of the beast. Everything is the mark of the beast to these people. And I'll just remind anybody, and I don't care, I consider myself a Christian. The book of the Revelation is an acid trip. It was based on a guy's dream, and there's a bunch of shit in there that can be interpreted about 20 different ways. It's not based on anything like real. It's a real dream. It's like if you dream that you eat pizza naked in a windstorm. Oh my God, that must mean that there's a windstorm coming and I eat pizza naked in it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't really mean anything. But they put it in, they tacked it on at the end of the New Testament, And these people try to interpret it 6 ways till Sunday as to who the beast of the air is. Like the Antichrist was supposed to be in my lifetime, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and just various people that they've dreamed up. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculous. How do you feel about vaccine passports, Brad? Because I understand the governor of Tennessee came out against it. He thinks it's not good at all.
Well, I'll say this: you can make some kind of argument that there shouldn't be a government passport on vaccines. You can make it. I think you're wrong, because I think that public health far outweighs the good of all in public health, far outweighs your perceived loss of liberty by having to show a bit of proof that you have been vaccinated. And by the way, if you want to play the what about game here, it seems to me that most of the people who are most adamant that you shouldn't have to show a vaccine passport are very adamant that you do need to show some kind of ID to vote. Okay.
Right.
Now, so which is it? Is the public being protected more if you show an ID when you vote, or even worse, you fake your way through and illegally vote? Is that more of a danger to the public than if you're Typhoid Mary with the vaccine and you get on a plane, or you're in an enclosed area and you infect dozens of people who also may not be vaccinated? I say public health works. And by the way, there is a ruling, I believe it's from 1905. You ready? 1905.
Jeepers.
On this issue. And it's been the go-to precedent, I do believe, about the idea that, and I think this was during the height of smallpox, a smallpox outbreak. And it was about, in fact, now that you're working, type in 1905 and put in smallpox vaccine passport or something, and see what comes up. I think this was a Supreme Court ruling that said that the government could implore you to get a vaccine, and by definition then show that you had it for the good of public health. And
this appears to be Jacobson versus Massachusetts. Does that ring any bells?
Well, no, but
I believe that's the one you're talking to. The court upheld the authority of the states to enforce compulsory vaccination laws. There you go. That was Jacobson versus Massachusetts, 1905, a Supreme Court case in which the court upheld the authority of states to enforce compulsory vaccination laws. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it stemmed from all of that.
As you know, I didn't go to Harvard Law School. I went to the Matt Gaetz School of Law, so I don't remember everything.
The Matt Gaetz School of Law, where they said always pay for your sex trafficking with Cash App. Is that what they said at that School of Law? But
this is a pandemic. This is an epidemic. This is affecting everybody, and the thought that your freedom is all about being able to infect me is idiotic. It makes no sense.
Well, the insidious part,
crazy.
The insidious part of this is conservatives are trying to turn around that my body, my choice thing that feminists have been using now for 50 years plus, and they're trying to throw that in their faces. In your face, I own the libs with my body, my choice. Fuck you. It's not about your body. It's about you infecting other people. So shut up. They continue to do that shit, and it's just maddening, and it's outrageous, and it's stupid. Meanwhile, they continue to try to go ahead and pass all sorts of things that take away abortion rights all over the country, including Arkansas.
But let's separate that, and let's for 1 second say, all right, okay, the given state that you live in is not going to force you to get a vaccine. They can't really do that. But then the real argument is I don't really worry about what North Carolina thinks of me on any given day. That's not the question. Is what about my job? What about the school I go to? What about the school my kids go to? Can they say no vaccine, no admission, no shirt, no shoes, no vaccine, no admission? And there's no way that's not going to be legal. There's no way that, once, for instance, the cruise industry, which is dying, they're going crazy. They're really pissed off at the CDC because the CDC will not give them the go-ahead to actually say, yeah, we want to do cruises, and we've got everybody on our staff already vaccinated, and we're only going to allow people on the cruises who are vaccinated. And so far, the CDC is dragging their feet on that one. I don't understand that. That doesn't seem to make sense. They really seem to be singled out, the cruise industry. I'm not taking a cruise next week.
But either. It would be.
And by the way, remember, but before coronavirus, it was already an epidemiological mess on a lot of cruise ships. Remember
what I wouldn't give for a new Norwalk virus all of a sudden, right? What I wouldn't give for those times.
It was norovirus, Mr. Bunker.
I believe it was
Norwalk virus.
You could neither. I think it was the Norwalk virus. It wasn't.
No, it's norovirus.
Was it really?
Norwalk virus. Yeah.
It says here, what is a norovirus infection? Oh, and it was sometimes referred to as the Norwalk virus or Norwalk-like virus, based on the name given to the first strain in the 1970s. So we both get to be right on that one, as it turns out.
Except no one's called it the Norwalk virus since the 70s. And
when was I born?
Remember, right.
No, what I wouldn't give for a good norovirus right now for the cruise industry. But this is going to be this is going to be the Donald Trump platform in 2024. Bring back Pepe Le Pew and kill off vaccine passports. That's all he has to do, is to stand up there and say that, and he can run in 2024, right? That's going to be his platform.
Right.
That's all he's got.
Right. I think that was the top story last night on the CBS Evening News with Norwalk O'Donnell. You see what I did there?
I'm sure she's been to Norwalk, Connecticut at some point in time.
Yeah. Oh God.
That'll be it for today.
That'll do it here.
That'll be fine.
That'll be fine. Charles, we'll see you tomorrow.